Hello and welcome to the Star Wars Show, the best place for below average Star Wars. I'm Peter and I'm joined by Ian. Ian, how are you doing?
I'm all right, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, really good, mate. Obviously, it's strange times throughout the world with coronavirus running wild. But
Certainly
we're
is.
here, but we're here to talk Star Wars and bring a bit of light into our lives and our listeners' lives.
Definitely, mate.
Yeah, so this episode we're going to be focusing on Star Wars: The High Republic, which was previously being referred to as Project Luminous. It's going to be set in an era when the Galactic Republic and the Jedi Order are at their zenith, about 200 years before the events of Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. This period of the Star Wars timeline will not overlap any of the filmed features or series currently planned for production. So it's given the creators and the partners sort of in this project a vast amount of room to tell Star Wars stories with new adventures and original characters. Obviously, this was Project Luminous, Ian, which sort of me and you spoke about for quite a while. I first came around Project Luminous, I think it was at Celebration. I got handed a poster at the publishing booth, and it was like a Dooku Jedi Lost poster. And then on the back, it had like Project Luminous on and the names, and then the date, January 2020.
It did.
So obviously no one knew what it was. Obviously, sort of Old Republic, High Republic sort of was getting mentioned a few months ago, sort of around December time, wasn't it? I think the sort of people started to guess.
Yeah, we started getting a few references in other stories. By the first one was in Dooku Jedi Lost by Cavan Scott, and it was about a Padawan called Terradine who had found the Borgin collection, which is a big, massive collection of dark side artifacts in the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. And that was the first one we got. And then Charles Soule is has rebooted the Star Wars comic run, and he has dropped a few references in that to a massive space station called Starlight, which basically, like I said, 200 years before the Phantom Menace, the galaxy was a much different place. There's not as many hyperlanes and all that type of thing. And apparently they put this massive space station in the middle of the outer rim in the dark zones, and it would send out a beacon to travellers to find a way across the outer rim before, obviously, hyperspace lanes and all that were more prevalent in the galaxy.
Yeah, so the High Republic era is a period of time approximately centered around 232 years before the Battle of Yavin. Like I said, about 200 years before the events of the Phantom Menace. And it's in which the Galactic Republic is said to be at its height. It's the golden age of the Jedi, who are significantly more active throughout the galaxy. And the Republic is sort of expanding out into the Outer Rim territories at this time. So obviously this Starlight Beacon, as you just said, is this sort of space station that's going to be helping the Republic sort of expand, helping communications. Obviously there's not as many hyperlanes, so you probably need to stop off more. So it's this Starlight Beacon is probably central to the sort of expansion the Republic's going through. He has a thought for you. So, like, we know that they've said that the group of stories. I mean, let's start with that. So, like, this is a publishing initiative, and it's going to be across. So basically, the storytelling initiative is going to be explored through multiple voices in both adult and young adult novels, children's books, comics.
Yeah.
And it's through a variety of publishers, including like Disney Lucasfilm Press, Del Rey, IDW Publishing, and Marvel Comics. And so it's all going to be set in sort of the same era. Obviously, different stories all tying together. And it's said that there's going to be a sort of one event's going to kickstart the whole story. That's the Great Disaster.
The Great Disaster.
So I just wanted your thoughts on like what you think the Great Disaster could be, because I think the Great Disaster is linked straight to the Starlight Beacon. I think that might blow up.
Yeah, I've been watching Star Wars Explained videos, and he seems to think the new villains, the Nile, that's who the main bad guys are of this new era of Star Wars. They say somewhere that they have a way to manipulate hyperspace.
All right, that's cool. So
he was saying that there might be a way they might have shut down hyperspace, which doesn't sound a massive thing, but in Star Wars it's a massive thing, because obviously journeys that would take a couple of hours can then sometimes take 5 years.
Yeah, so
if everything's shut off, then the Jedi are isolated away from Coruscant and all that. So I think it's something to do with them disrupting hyperspace.
Yeah, so the Nile, so as you correctly said, the Nile are sort of the main villain, the problem in this group of stories in this era, and they're being described as space Vikings. So I wonder if they can manipulate hyperspace in a way. I wonder if they're linked to like the Purgle, the space whales from Rebels, because obviously, like they're quite obviously hyperspace. We always thought was like a man-made machine that you could travel fast through space, but it turns out the hyperspace lanes that these creatures it's very much in nature, as we found out in Rebels with the Purgle. So I wonder if maybe they're linked to the Purgle, because for me, if the Vikings, and I've seen some of the concept art for them, they do look very centered around like, I wouldn't say around nature, but they seem quite like low tech in a way, almost like steampunk.
They don't seem, it's not. Yeah, it's not like I've seen steampunk. It's not like the Empire who've got Star Destroyers now. They look a lot more primitive.
Yeah, so I wonder if they like do believe in like maybe they have like animals that they prey to and stuff. Maybe if they are able to sort of shut down hyperlanes sort of naturally, maybe they are sort of maybe they do have Purgle or prey to Purgle or something along those lines.
Yeah, I'm just reading about me, and it says they're a group of anarchistic marauders, and it said the first thing that is known about them in the canon is that they torched the paradise planet called Nelganum, and apparently it caused the world to fall into ruin and become a desolate wasteland, and its famed library fall into ruin as well. So I don't think they'll be messing around in this High Republic story.
Yeah, because I mean, like, so I've got a list here of important events that take place in this era. So there's not many; there's only 3. So one is the Starlight Beacon is constructed. The next one is the Great Disaster occurs, and then the next one is the torching of Nelganam, if that's how you say it.
Nelganam. Yeah.
So we've got 3 little snippets, and as Star Wars fans, we're going to obviously like try and like think about what they could be, even though we don't really know. What's your thoughts on these Nile? I love the design of them. Like I said, I think they're very based in like they're very natural, they're very primitive, as you said. That's a great way to describe them. Almost like sort of our era steampunk, which I thought was like a really cool look. Obviously, they are like space Vikings. I'm glad that they don't seem to. I'm glad they're not Sith.
Well, we don't know if someone is behind them yet.
Maybe, but I would like to think not, because you've got to think when Maul comes about, the Jedi are like surprised, so like they've got to be surprised. And
I'm not saying the Jedi will. Obviously, they can't find out about the Sith, but I'm not sure whether if there's something up in the galaxy, surely there has to be 2 Sith Lords behind it. You would think.
Maybe. I mean, I wonder who the Sith Lords would be if there were.
I'm guessing they'd be new, or maybe 200 years. I'm trying to think. I don't know whether it would be like Darth Plagueis' master or
possibly.
Like
I mean, so obviously Plagueis isn't canon at the minute, but if he was and he is immune still, I don't know how long they live for. Do you know how long they live for?
Yeah, I have no idea how long immune lives for. To be fair, if it's in canon, they could just make it up. To be fair, they could go, he lives for this long.
Yeah, well, the Munes are canon, aren't they? Because obviously the banking clan are Munes.
The Munes. Yeah. Darth Plagueis is canon. It's just we don't know anything about his backstory.
So I know the story's canon, but I've not read anywhere where like they've said that story's like real.
I think it's assumed that it's real, though. To be fair,
because I've always thought, like, imagine how much more tragic Anakin's fall would be if like Palpatine's made that up to like trick him, because he says, "Oh, there's this legend, like a story in it," like, and sort of teases him with this, like, might be able to save the people who want from dying, because like this story tells of this guy who did, and obviously,
it'd be very Palpatine.
Yeah, and obviously, like in the older year, we did get the book Plagueis by James Luceno. Yeah, brilliant book.
It's one of my favourite books.
Yeah. No, it's great. Luceno's a brilliant writer. Did you read his talking book that he did in the new canon? Brilliant.
I did, and he did Catalyst as well.
Yeah, he did. That was a brilliant book. That really made Rogue One better for me. That book.
Yeah.
That book's what Star Wars Publishing is all about for me. I think the Rogue One Catalyst book.
Yeah, because if you watch the film, then you get that there's been a relationship between these people. But I'd already read it before I'd
Me
seen
too.
Rogue One. I was like, oh, he killed Lyra. You.
Yeah, I made a point of reading it
Yeah.
before I went because as soon as on screen, I know we're on topic here, but as soon as on screen you see like Krennic land and he's talking to Galen,
Galen.
yeah, and obviously Lyra's there as well when she turns up and the three of them are there. Like I know their relationship from the past. I know their three, how that dynamic works. And then
Yeah, and she never liked
yeah,
him.
and like he's like always thought she's like holding him back from like working for the Empire full time. Do you know what I mean? And then so like it makes that
Yeah.
scene like click so much. Which is one of the reasons why I'm so excited for this project because obviously like for me, that book, the Rogue One tie-in novel, was like what Star Wars Publishing's all about. And I think like this, obviously, it's not going to tie in with any movie, but the fact that all these books are going to tie in together, for me, is going to be like you're going to read one and you're going to read another, which is the next one's going to be a different story, but it's going to like connect.
It's a bit like the MCU.
A little bit, yeah. So
In the overarching story ways, maybe not obviously the same total way, but there's a bit of the MCU
no,
about
definitely,
it.
yeah. So I'm really excited. And I'm glad that it's like across different formats. So like, it's not like he has 10 books to read. It's like, well, he has a book. He has a young adult book, so you'll probably read that a bit faster. Then you're gonna have a Marvel comic tying in. You're gonna have an IDW young person's comic tying in. So I think it's gonna be like really really good. I mean, there's already been tie-ins recently. So you've got like, obviously, I know in the is it the Rise of Kylo Ren comic? You have obviously
Oh yeah, they visit a Jedi
yeah.
temple,
So
which is from the High Republic era.
yeah, so I think Luke actually says, like, quote, like, I just didn't realize the Jedi ever had an official presence so far from the core. And Lors Anteca replies with, it's probably High Republic era. It was a time of greatly expanded Jedi activity throughout the galaxy.
Yeah,
And then, speaking about Lors Anteca, obviously, I just want to say, obviously, Max von Sydow, who played Lors Anteca in The Force Awakens, obviously passed away last week.
yeah.
So I just want to dedicate this episode to him. Obviously, I know he's not on screen very much in Star Wars, but like he had a huge film career. I think he was in The Exorcist, wasn't he, as well? So like, so he's had a legend, yeah, a legend. Obviously, I think he was 90 when he died, wasn't he?
Yeah,
so I mean, like, although it's sad, and obviously, like the film world's going to miss him. I think like, he's led a great life. Do you know what I mean? He's been part of some great stories. And I just want to say, obviously, Star Wars fans, obviously, he's not in that movie much, but you can tell he's a very like integral character to the plot. If you go and read the Poe Dameron comic, you get a lot of him in those volumes of what he's about. So if you want,
I'd love to know more about him, to be honest, because he's an interesting character.
definitely, yeah. So I think like anyone looking for Lors and Tech and stuff, there's a lot. There's not a lot, but the stuff that's in is very rich. So go and read the Poe Dameron comic. You get a good feel for him in the Poe Dameron comic. Obviously, he is in the Rise of Kylo Ren comic a little bit, so go and read that. And like, I think we will get more of him as time goes by.
I think eventually post Rise of Skywalker, we've got to get like Luke Skywalker stories. So I think he'll be in whatever they choose to tell that in, whether it's book, comics, or whether they do a Disney Plus show or recast.
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't know. I think we'll get
something. Yeah, definitely. So it's going to be good. So like I said, sad is gone, but he's led a great life, and I'm glad we had him in Star Wars. And like I said, his character is only getting richer through other publishing and other mediums, which is great.
Yeah.
So I just want to go back to talking about sort of the Nile. So I get the feeling these are going to be like Outer Rim marauders, like they're going to be marauding Outer Rim.
Yeah, I don't think they'll come from the core.
And obviously the Jedi are going to be on the outside, sort of expanding, and that's when they're going to come together, probably maybe by accident.
Yeah, because in the launch trailer, Pablo Hidalgo said the danger from the Republic comes from its borders. So yeah, so basically it'll come from the fringes of the Republic, wherever that is, because I think the Republic's going to be drastically smaller than we're used to it being all encompassing, go across the galaxy.
Yeah.
But the one thing I do like about this is I did have a big gripe with Star Wars Legends. Basically, like KOTOR was 4,000 years before the films, but yet the technology was completely the same.
Yeah.
like nothing seemed to have advanced in 4,000 years, and then this seems the galaxy seems a lot more primitive, just 200 years before.
Yeah, so
the Phantom Menace.
Maybe that's a cool thing that they've obviously looked at and thought, oh, we can change that now. Like we can tell the story differently, and we're going to do that. So I think that's definitely something that was always a bit like, oh, like everything's the same. But then like,
yeah, like 4,000 years, it's like we still have hyperspace, we still have lightsabers, we still have this. It's like, oh, okay, that's a bit. Don't get me wrong, I love KOTOR, it's amazing. But that was one thing where I was like, that's a bit weird.
No, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, technology doesn't seem to have advanced in like imagine that on this planet. Like, oh, we're still running around in the caves and stuff.
Yeah.
4,000 years after.
No, definitely.
But yeah, I do like that about it just seems a lot more primitive, the galaxy, which I like.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously you mentioned the Bogan collection earlier. So obviously, Clias Terradine was a Padawan who obviously found the Bogan collection, which is it's an archive in the Jedi Temple on Coruscant filled with Sith artifacts, which the Jedi find and then hide. They don't touch them or don't study them. They hide them.
Yeah, they keep it secret in the temple,
which no one touches.
And then in the events of Dooku Jedi Lost, Dooku and Cypher Dyas. Obviously, apparently this journal of this Terradine is famous in the Jedi Order because I think is he the one who's a troublemaker? I think he's the one who's a troublemaker.
So he's a story told by the Jedi Initiates, which is the term given to Jedi before they become Padawans, like the younglings, I think, or maybe.
Yeah, because when Yoda catches Dooku and Cypher Dyas, he goes, Yoda says, the journal of Terradine at work again, or something along those lines. So it's a well-known story that's told by Initiates.
Yeah, obviously Dooku and Cypher Dyas are quite like, I don't know, capable Jedi, so like they did go looking for it and found it, as we know. Yeah. So this Bogan collection, I wonder, obviously these artifacts, like if you think about what planets they come from, like maybe the Jedi are going to be finding these artifacts as they're expanding the galaxy in the Outer Rim.
Yeah, that'd be cool, because it says the Bogan collection obviously was a hidden vault of forbidden artifacts from the Jedi Temple, but it contains scrolls, swords, Sith relics, and the lightsaber of Darth Krall, and artifacts relating to the sorcerers of Tund. So yeah, it has a lot of stuff in it. I bet there's some Darth Bane stuff in there. I want them to spend some Darth Bane.
Yeah,
I love Darth Bane.
Oh, definitely.
But to be fair, there won't be any in there, will there? Because he's the last one.
He is, yeah.
He's the creator of Rule 2, so no, there won't be any Darth Bane stuff in there, to be fair.
Nope, I don't think so. Well, I don't know. Maybe they can tie it in a way. We don't know which way the books are going to go. But
I have to believe. I don't think we'll get anything Sith related in because they're talking about doing it in phases. This High Republic stuff, and I don't think there'll be anything Sith related. But I have to believe that we'll get something like who the Sith Lords are at this point in time.
Yeah,
and that type of thing. I don't think they'll have a massive overarching thing in the story, but I think we will get something on the Sith.
Yeah. As long as it's like subtle for me, it makes sense. Yeah. I'm happy with that. I don't want
because they did. You see the board they put up. You know when they released the trailer and they put that big board up and everyone freaked out because it said diversity on it. But
yeah,
it did say Sith Empire on it.
Yeah, so I think there'll be like references to that. So I think obviously that's like the Old Republic. So like you got to think the High Republic. I'm guessing is the era after. So I'm guessing that the people in this High Republic will remember or have no stories of the previous era of the Old Republic. So the Jedi might be like, because obviously it's meant to be a time of peace and tranquility, and the Jedi don't really have much to do. Like you're essentially, from what I gather, the Jedi are like keepers of the peace. They're not swords here. Yeah. They are guardians of the galaxy. Sort of they are that tranquil, how a Jedi should be before things start to go wrong, sadly, for the Jedi Order. So I think that maybe like they might reference the time of war, like, oh yeah, we fought the Sith Empire. It was a very long battle and it was horrible. And like, so it'd be good to get little like, it's gonna be cool because I think during this High Republic storyline, if we get sort of the characters reminiscing or telling tales of that previous era, it then sets up that previous era for storytelling later on. And then we can go back to the Old Republic at I don't know, could be 10 years from now. Do you know what I mean? But start.
I think they'll eventually.
Well, I've always said like because obviously like when the sort of not the merger, but when the acquisition happened, so when Lucasfilm like got published by Disney, everyone was like, "Oh, like I want Old Republic," and it's like, "Well, you're probably going to get it, but like Star Wars is going to be made forever now, so like they're probably not going to make that now, but like who in 10 years' time there's going to be a Star Wars project." what's it going to be? Well, it could be the Old Republic.
More on that Great Disaster. I've just gone onto the High Republic on Wikipedia, and it says an event known as the Great Disaster, in which starships across the galaxy were suddenly kicked out of hyperspace.
Wow.
So I'm guessing that's Great
Disaster. That's me wrong then.
Yeah. Well, it's Wikipedia, so I'm not 100% sure if it's accurate, but that's what Star Wars Explained said as well. He did say, because apparently on all the plot summaries for the new books that are coming out, it does say such and such is doing this, when all of a sudden his ship's kicked out of hyperspace.
I mean, if the ships explode as get kicked out, then fair enough, you can call it the Great Disaster. But if they just had to travel a bit further, it's a bit of the wrong term, I think. But
I'm guessing though them journeys, like I said, that could take a day or two, might end up having to take 3 years, and that is a massive problem.
So I wonder, obviously, if they get kicked out of hyperspace, I wonder if that is the Nile who've done that, who created the Great Disaster. And if it is, I wonder if they're using a technology, I don't know, like a gravity grabber or something, if they wouldn't have to do
or if it's more like force based.
Well, I don't know. Do you think the Nile could be force sensitive?
I'm leaning towards no, because they just don't seem it. But there could be some who are overtly force sensitive who can do something, or maybe they are another branch of because obviously we only ever really see the Jedi and the Sith. Maybe they're another force using.
Yeah, because obviously we have obviously the Nine Sisters of Dathomir, obviously force using as well.
Yeah.
Use it in a very different way, obviously with magic. For me, obviously, I'm just reading that now. What you said, so obviously the event known as a Great Disaster, in which starships across the galaxy were suddenly kicked out of hyperspace. So because it's across the galaxy, I would say it's probably not one person using the force. Otherwise, they're going to be mega powerful. Yeah. So I don't know what it could be. Maybe it's a collective group of people using the force, almost reminiscent of the Sith thought bomb from the Old Republic era.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's I don't know. I would love to see the Purgle reference, just because I love when Star Wars connects. I think it would be a cool little reference, and everybody thought that episode was filler when we first saw the Purgle.
I remember seeing an interview with Dave Filoni, and there was that one and the Hammerhead Corvette one with Princess Leia, and then that Corvette ended up with the saving the day at Rogue One. So, but nothing's ever. Most things aren't filler.
Most things aren't. That's correct. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there. So I'm just trying to see. So obviously Charles Soule's writing the first book of a series.
Well, The Light of the Jedi. It's out on August 25th.
So The Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule is out on August 5th.
There's another. You've read The Rise of Kylo Ren, haven't you? The full thing, or have you?
I've read most of it, and I've heard about the last bit, so feel free to spoil it.
There's in issue 3, one of Luke's students who's chasing Kylo Ren. Obviously, Kylo Ren's talking to the Knights of Ren, and the Knights of Ren want to know why the Kylo Ren, these will be good deaths if he kills them. And basically, the Quarren Jedi is opening a holocron, and there's a woman in the holocron that says "Hello, Searcher," and that character is the person on the front of the book of The Light of the Jedi. Her name's Ava Chris.
All right.
So that's the blonde Jedi on the front of The Light of the Jedi book is Ava Chris, who was in The Rise of Kylo Ren. She's been in for a frame. It's just the holocron opens and she says "Hello, Searcher," and then that's it.
Cool.
But that's a little link between them as well.
Awesome. That's brilliant. I didn't know that. That's really good insight, Iain. So, I mean, for you, obviously, Charles Soule, I think he did a great... He did the Darth Vader comic, didn't he?
Oh, I love it, yeah. It's one of my favourite things, the second Darth Vader comic.
So he's been reading he's been doing some really good comic stuff, and obviously he's doing the reboot of the Star Wars comic.
Yeah, the Star Wars reboot.
Which is essentially set between... Well, it starts after Empire Strikes Back, doesn't it? Is that right?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Yeah, so the first comic ran from A New Hope to Empire Strikes Back, and then it's sort of had a soft reboot where... Sort of not a reboot, but it's just started again at issue 1 after the movie, after Empire Strikes Back, so you pick up after the movie.
Comics do it.
But it's really cool because it's obviously it means you can watch the movie and then pick issue 1 up if you want it to start there. It's a great start point. So yeah, that's really good. So are you happy Charles Soule's writing the book? Because obviously he's been doing a lot of comics for Star Wars and doing really good work. Now he's doing a novel.
Yeah, Yeah, it's great that he's writing the book because he's done tons of books outside Star Wars, and I've never read any of his books outside Star Wars, but his comics in Star Wars have been great. I love the Poe Dameron one. I thought the Poe Dameron comic was
Yeah,
great.
it certainly was. I love the Poe Dameron comic. It really.
Did you read the original? Did you read his original like Land? I think it's the first one he did in Star Wars. His original like Lando five-issue miniseries.
Is that on where Lando steals Palpatine's yacht full of artifacts? Yes,
Yeah.
that was a great book. I loved that.
That's great, yeah.
And it's got the Lobot storyline in, where we'll find out why he has the implants.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Are you reading the current Star Wars?
So I'm behind. I'm like 2 volumes short of the first run. So I haven't reached the reboot point yet.
Yeah. Yeah, because obviously they go. I don't know. I won't spoil this for you, but they go back to a place. Sorry about the dog barking. By the way,
Don't worry about it.
He's just getting ready for his walk.
We're a dog-friendly podcast, so it's okay.
Yeah, he's just getting ready for his with my girlfriend. But yeah, basically they go back to a certain place in Empire Strikes Back, and Lando goes back with them, and obviously to find Lobot. So obviously you know where he's going.
No, yeah, cool. So I'm excited to check it out. I need to get caught up then, essentially.
I've just, the new issue just downloaded last night because I get them on Amazon Kindle, and you can pre-order them now because you used to have to wait for them to go up on the site to buy them. So now you can pre-order them. They just download your things. So they downloaded it like midnight last night. I still need to read issue 4. It's just come out today.
Awesome, good stuff. See, I buy mine like trade paperback, so I wait.
Yeah,
I'm like always at least. I mean, I'm behind on 2 trade paperbacks anyway. But even if I was up to date, I'd still be behind by like 6 weeks at least.
Yeah, I buy them on digital, and if there's one I really like, then I'll buy the trade paperbacks. So.
Yeah.
I've got both Darth Vader series. I've got the Kanan one. I've got a few of the Asia Republic ones. I've got the Son of Dathomir, Darth Maul. That's a great one.
Yeah, I'll pick that up. That's really good.
But other than that, yeah. So yeah, I am looking forward to him writing the novel. Like I said, he's got novels outside of Star Wars that are apparently really good. I wouldn't mind reading one day, but I'm trying to find the time to keep up with everything Star Wars and then read everything else.
Yeah, definitely is hard. I mean, what I find cool is that obviously sort of Charles Soule in the Star Wars world has been writing a lot of good comics, and now they've moved them over to write novels. And then the sort of next story in this High Republic era is a comic book through Marvel, written by Kevin Scott, who we last knew wrote Dooku Jedi Lost. So he's gone from doing like an audio book / script book, and they put him in the comic world.
Yeah, he does a lot of the like younger comic things. So he does the Tales from Vader's Castle.
All right, that's on the IDW publishing, isn't it?
Yeah, which I'm still waiting for them to, because you can't buy them in the UK for some reason. You can't buy them digitally, and you can't. And I think my closest comic shop's like 30 mile away, so I can't drive to a thing. So I'm waiting for the trade paperback for the second Tales from Vader's Castle. And he normally does like the younger ones. So I do like how the authors seem to be splitting rounds and doing different things. Because I thought Kevin Scott would do the young person's comic. I thought Charles Soule would do the Marvel comic. I thought Claudia Gray would do the book, and Justina Ireland would do another book, and Daniel Jose Older's doing a comic. I do like how they're switching it up a bit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one thing. I was the same. I was like, the first book will probably be Claudia Gray, and then Charles Soule would do the comic. And I thought Kevin Scott would do the young person's comic, and I thought it would like go on and on. Obviously, they have changed it up, and I think that's really cool. These guys are obviously very talented writers. I think obviously I've loved what Kevin Scott's done with Dooku Jedi Lost. I'm glad he's involved. Claudia Gray writes some of my favourite books in the new canon. Charles Soule's was one of my favourite comics. So I'm excited. Daniel Jose Older obviously wrote the solo novel, which I'm only halfway through. And that's not because I didn't like it, it's just because of time. But from what I was reading, I was enjoying it. So it's sort of cool that these guys are all involved. So obviously we go from like the Light of the Jedi, Charles Soule, it's out first, and then we have the High Republic comic by Kevin Scott, which doesn't have a launch date yet, and we don't know how long it's going to run for either.
Does it have a launch date? No, it's waiting. It's a waiting publication.
Yeah. And then we have High Republic Adventures by Daniel Jose Older, which is the sort of young person's comic produced through IDW. And then we have a Test of Courage by Justina Ireland. So that looks like Justina Ireland, sorry. And I think that's 8th of September 2020. So that's the next book. And that, I think that is a young person's book. Judging by the cover, it looks like possibly younger than YA. Might be like children's book. and then
Yeah.
obviously we've got Claudia Gray, Into the Dark, and that's the YA novel, which I absolutely love. Lost Stars. So if she's following,
I love Stars.
If she's following the same footsteps, I'm very excited for that. And that's 13th of October for that one.
The publisher's summary for that is Padawan Reith Silas has been sent from the cosmopolitan galaxy capital of Coruscant to the undeveloped frontier, and he couldn't be less happy about it. He'd rather stay at the Jedi Temple studying the archives, but when his ship is travelling, he's knocked out of hyperspace in a galactic-wide disaster. Reith finds himself at the centre of the action. The Jedi and the travelling companions find refuge on what appears to be an abandoned space station, but then strange things start happening, leading the Jedi to investigate the truth behind the mysterious station, a truth that could end in tragedy.
Sounds really good, yeah. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
So there we go. So it looks like, obviously, the Great Disaster is going to be the kick-off point for all of these stories, maybe. So that's exciting. I wonder if they'll run because obviously we've got what? So we've got October, we've got September, and we've got August. I wonder if they'll run the comic series in between.
I'm guessing so. I can't remember when they said when the comic was coming out. So I'm sure they said it's round roughly.
Yeah, so that'd be really cool if we get if the comics are getting produced in between the books. It means you can finish the book, read the comics, and then you get the next book, and then it's all going to tie in. So it's going to be a really cool experience where I don't know, for almost 6 months we're going to be reading stuff that's all interconnected.
Yeah.
In the same timeline as well, which is something Star Wars hasn't done lately because of the way they told the stories in canon all over the 3 different trilogies. So it's going to be. I'm excited for that. Really, I'm excited for sort of a linear. I mean, I'm not saying it's not going to be fully linear. I think some of them will be set before each other and after each other. But I think it's all going to be centered around this one sort of disaster that kickstarts it. And you're going to be able to follow it easily from that. And I'm really excited for sort of that sort of storytelling, which, as you said before, sort of MCU type storyline where although it's not, like I said, MCU will go back and do Captain Marvel, which is set in the 90s, but you can tell by watching it exactly where it fits in, and obviously with the Tesseract and stuff, you know how it links. And then with the first Avenger link at the end with the Avenger link on a plane, do you know what I mean? We're going to get that type of connectivity here in the same project in the short amount of time, which I'm really, really excited for. I think it's going to give a lot to Star Wars fans. It's going to give a lot of awesome content. It's going to interlink it up, and it's really going to reward us for sticking with it. And like I said, for buying these books, I think it's going to be a great journey.
Yeah, I'll definitely be buying them all.
Yeah, definitely. It's coming on ones where because it's always all interconnected, in the same time frame. I might have to go and get that comic. Do you know what I mean?
They did say, though, if you just wanted to read certain things, then it wouldn't take you out of it as well. They said you could just read the 2 books and be fine.
I'd imagine with Star Wars, it'll be the case of you could just read one of them. You could read the comic series, and that would be great on its own. Or you could read one of the novels, and be great on its own. And then I think, but if you spend the time and do them all, I think the payoff will be huge. It'll be your brain will go, wow. I think it'll be one of them ones.
Yeah. Because they're saying it's just one of phase 1, and then they're going to try. Obviously, it depends how well it does. If it does well, then I'm guessing they're going to move on to phase 2. I don't know how long this thing can go.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it will do well. I think it's obviously it's a new era. I think I'm glad that they've sort of set it away from any characters we know.
Yeah, because because my biggest thing, I love most of the canon books, but if you're doing a story about Darth Vader, if you're doing a story about Luke Skywalker, then guess what? We know he lives. There's no they try and build up the stakes, yes, but I mean, they know at the end of the day, no matter what danger they're in, they're not dying.
Yeah, no, definitely. So
it kind of takes you out of it a bit.
Definitely. So this is going to be a sort of, we're not going to know as we're reading, so we're going to find out everything as we go, which is it's going to be really, really good.
Yeah, definitely.
So which project are you excited for most? Are you excited for Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule? Are you excited?
I'm looking forward to that one, yeah, because like I said, it kicks it all off, and like I say, you make a good first impression. Then I think I think he will, because Charles Soule, I've enjoyed everything he's ever done in Star Wars.
Me too. So I'm excited for that, and him kicking it off, I think it's a big thing. Him being he's got the launch title. Smash it out the ballpark. It's a hardcover book. It's available to pre-order now on Amazon by the looks of it.
It is, yeah, and it's on Waterstones as well. That's where I get mine from because I deliver it to Branch and they give me it a week early. That's why I always get it through Waterstones.
So there you go. There's a tip for UK listeners. If you pre-order your Star Wars books through Waterstones, chances are they'll come in early.
To deliver it to Branch, yeah. I don't know about delivering it to your house, but to deliver it to Branch, that's what I do. I don't know. Mine might just be different, but yeah, I tend to get them at least a couple of days.
It'll be a thing. I've got friends in America who obviously when the Force Friday happened, so the shop would put stuff out, so they were getting excited and taking the tills, and then when they were scanning through the tills, it was not allowed to be sold, and the woman was like, "Oh right," because obviously the shop attendant doesn't know the release date of these things unless they're Star Wars fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the same thing happened to me once with a game. I went to buy it and they were like, "Oh, that's not supposed to be out till next week, so you can't have it." I'm like, "Well, why have you got it on the shelf?"
Yeah.
But that's another story for another time.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, like I said, if you want to try and get ahead of the curve, pre-book through Waterstones, guys, and you might get it early, you might not, you might get it on time.
It's a bit more expensive, but I've got the Waterstones, where you get you go into a coffee shop and you get a stamp for spending.
Oh yeah, the loyalty card, yeah.
If you get 10 stamps, then you get £10 off. So at the end of the day, you end up saving.
All right.
I got like Resistance Reborn for like £9 instead of. So that's my tip.
Yeah, I mean, Resistance Reborn. I'm glad you brought that up. So, that's another thing that gets me excited for these books. So, I think Resistance Reborn as a book, if you read it, is great. But I think if you have played Battlefront 2, sort of read the comics, read the other novels, then this book really ties it all in. Like, you get so much extra out of it, where you're like, I don't know, you almost feel like pleased that you've done all that, because the book would be fine and really good on its own if you hadn't, but because you know where these people have come from, like the characters from Battlefront 2,
like Shriv and that, and
and obviously Iron Versio's child, do you know what I mean? It is absolutely brilliant because you know where Black Squadron have come from if you've read the Poe Dameron comic. If you've read Aftermath, you know about Wedge's mother, what she's like. Wedge,
Norway,
and Wedge Antilles, obviously. I think so if we're going to get these books all tie in and we get to that level, I think we really are in for something special. I'm really, really excited. I think it's quite I don't know. I think for Lucasfilm to do this, I think it's a bit of a gamble, but because obviously it's an era people don't know and characters we don't know, but I think it was important to do. I think obviously the sequel trilogies came and gone now. They've said it's the end of the saga. So we need to go in a new direction now because they made the decision to say that's the end of the saga. And obviously we will get tie-ins. Do you know what I mean? We're all going to get content based around that, but it's important to make.
And we'll get episode 10 eventually.
Yeah, but it's important. But it's important to make all that content now, and I think this is brilliant, and I'm really, really excited. It could go any way, which is really cool. Obviously, 200 years before Phantom Menace, obviously Yoda would be alive and in the Jedi Order, quite active, I'd imagine.
He would, yeah. Middle-aged. Well, kind of middle-aged. He'd be about 700.
Was he? Is he 900 Empire? Is that right?
Yeah, so you're talking about maybe late 600s, early 700s.
Early 700s, yeah.
Young for him.
Yeah, do you think we'll see much of him?
I think we'll see him eventually. I think it'll be like The Mandalorian, where you spend the first season, because with The Mandalorian, there's rumours of that character in the end of episode 5 being Boba Fett. I think they'll build these new characters up, so we love these new characters, and then eventually you can say, well, here's Yoda and here's people we know. Eventually, so I don't think we'll see much of him to start with, but then I think we will see him eventually, because, like I said, you can't. It'd be a bit weird if they never mention him. It's well, how does he become? In a couple of hundred years, he's the Grand Master of the Jedi Order, so he must be important to that order.
Yeah. So I'm I don't think I want to follow him on an adventure.
No. But if he's mentioned,
I love these characters and know them and be oh, that Yoda's good. He's really good. He's going to be going to big things. Yeah. Have you heard what Yoda did last week? Almost no, he didn't. That couldn't have happened. No, he did. He used the Force and did this. It'd be cool if he's almost sort of I don't know, a legend already. Becoming.
I was thinking. He obviously knows about the rule of 2 in the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if he'd be I've heard some people saying maybe he's trying to find out about this, and maybe obviously they can't discover the Sith.
Well, here's the thing. So we were meant to. I was meant to record a podcast last week, but we had technical difficulties, so I couldn't. And it was going to be myself and Alan was going to be back on with me. And I opened it up to some questions, just to answer some questions, sort of like a Q&A episode. And so we got one on Twitter from at Bloody Orme, at BLOODYORME, and his question was, how did Yoda know about the rule of two in the Phantom Menace when the Sith were meant to be a secret in that era? So, like, obviously, sort of talking about that question now, so that's why I thought I'd give that guy credit. So thanks, Bloody Orme, for the question, and we're going to address it now. So, I mean,
in real terms, obviously George just said that, and he obviously never really paid much attention to the expanded universe. But
well, I mean, obviously, I think they know the Sith are two.
Yeah.
So like,
Master and Apprentice.
So like, Yoda knows that. So if they still exist, and that's how they're existing. How he knows that, I don't know. But I'd imagine that, like, obviously they destroyed the Sith in the wars with the Sith Empire back in the day, back in the Old Republic era, which is before this High Republic era. So I'd imagine, like, he would certainly know about that. He would know about the Old Republic, so he would know the Sith were Legion, and he'd know they were defeated.
In Star Wars Legends, basically the Jedi knew about the rule of two because a Jedi named Kib Jeen was sent to the planet Almus in the Kularan system to investigate a powerful infection of the dark side surrounded by the Fort of Almus. And apparently the fort was known to be an ancient Sith fortress, but the Jedi and the Republic forgot about the Kularan system until it was going. And that's where the Jedi Kib Jeen killed his master and succumbed to the dark side. He later dominated the minds of some pirates and unleashed his forces on the third planet, the Kalaran system. This was referred to as the Dark Jedi conflict. But then apparently the Jedi eventually went and captured Kib Jeen, and he had obviously been in this Sith fortress and found out about the rule of two. But at this point, the Jedi just dismissed him as absolutely mad because he was mad. Apparently, he'd lost his mind, and he kept going on about the rule of two and the Sith aren't gone. The Jedi are like, yeah, okay. But that's how the Jedi knew about the rule of two in Legends. But obviously, we don't have an answer in the canon.
I mean, I think the Jedi are aware the Sith probably do exist because, like, Qui-Gon's very much aware of the prophecy. So, and he finds before they find Maul, he's like, Anakin's the chosen one, and that's why he chooses to take him. Do you know what I mean? So, like, I think he's mindful of that. So I think the Jedi are like, the dark side is still there. Like, so, like, these Sith Lords could be out there, and, like, obviously, if I don't know when they found out, but I imagine they are aware that it's the rule of two, and that makes the Sith more dangerous because you can't locate them. It's two people could be anywhere, and if they're separated as well, if one's on one end of the galaxy and one's on the other,
impossible to land.
Definitely, yeah, and like I said, like, and they've got other things to worry about, and because obviously the way Palpatine's doing things with the Senate, even as a senator, like, and obviously what Sidious is doing, setting things up, they can't really probably concentrate on refining the Sith because it's like, oh, we've got to do this stuff for the Republic now. Tied up in this, so like it's So I don't know how he knows about the rule of two, but it doesn't surprise us that he does, and I don't think it's a plot hole. I think it's like he found that out at some point. You know,
I think if he's going to be mentioned in this, I think that might be how we find out in canon. Obviously, how they know about the rule of two.
That would be cool. I would dig that. Maybe they find like a Sith temple on, like, obviously abandoned, but like in one of these in this expansion era on one of these planets that they've not been to before.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Obviously, I've got a theory now that the Rise of Skywalker Exegol. I'm wondering if the Sith, after Darth Bane destroyed the Sith Order 1,000 years before the event of the Clone Wars and all that, I wonder if they retreated to Exegol. Because the Sith Eternal cult looks like it's been there a long time.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, like, so anyone who's seen the Rise of Skywalker, obviously on Exegol, you see all those people in the stands in that sort of auditorium. So it's been explained that there was people, the Sith cultists. So they're not necessarily
the Sith Eternal.
So they're not necessarily Force users, but they just
worship people and worship the dark side.
Yeah, so they live there, and I'm guessing they have a city, which we don't see in the movie, but there's a city there, I'd imagine, where they live in the city and they have lives, I'd imagine. I don't know if they have jobs, but Obviously, they live.
They've been creating the bloody Final Order fleet.
Yeah, well, they live there. They've been building that fleet. Obviously, they've been reproducing because obviously then the children get brought up the same way and they become officers and soldiers in the army.
Sith troopers and all that.
Yeah, so there's that. So yeah, maybe like we could see that linked. I mean, do we know where Exegol is in the galaxy? What's it next to?
Unknown regions, deep in the unknown regions.
Exegol's in the unknown regions, is it? Right?
Yeah, deep. Yeah, past that big red nebula that Kylo Ren flies through at the beginning of the film.
Right.
Yeah, it's deep in the unknown regions. That's why, because it said something in the Rise of Skywalker visual dictionary that the Jedi know about Moraband and Malachor and like every Sith stronghold they know about, but they never knew about Exegol, because Exegol, that's why C-3PO calls it the hidden home world of the Sith.
Right. Yeah.
It's deep in the unknown regions.
Cool. So that's probably where they said they originated from, like thousands and thousands of years ago.
Yeah, because obviously there's Moraband or Korriban, who you want to do it, but which I love. I love Moraband as a place as well. I think it's a really cool planet.
Yeah.
Anything related, I'm fascinated by, because we don't really get much about them in canon. They're very mysterious to Sith.
Yeah,
and I'd love to see places like Moraband in this new High Republic thing as well. But then again, if they're not going to do much about it, if it's the Nile Raiders, then we might not get a lot. But eventually, I think we'll get stuff on Moraband and Malachor and Exegol and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think maybe not Exegol for them being too far away, because obviously we know technology's been stripped back for this era, so the hyperspace lanes aren't as good. And we saw how
you ain't going to get to the unknown region.
If you haven't got that wayfinder, you're not getting there, as the movie taught us.
Well, the unknown regions now might be the known galaxy that we don't know yet. Like Tatooine might be in the unknown regions because it's pulled back.
Yeah, definitely something like if Tatooine's not really known, I think like these other Exegol's certainly not going to be known. But I think Malachor and Moraband, I think obviously like they'll be desolate because the wars happened in the Old Republic.
Yeah,
but it'd be good to see if the Jedi like talk about remember the battle on. Like there probably might be a story like that's been told down for generations. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because obviously in Rebels, the Jedi get told not to go to Malachor. Like Kanan and Ahsoka say, and they're like, "Why?" Ezra's like, "Why? This is our old legends and all that type of stuff."
Yeah,
like Malachor's off limits for Jedis.
Yeah, no, definitely.
That'd be cool. Other than that,
yeah. So I mean,
yeah, I don't know what to go on to now.
yeah, I mean, so how do you feel? Obviously, so describe the Jedi as being like sort of rangers on the edge of space.
Yeah, it said someone like an old Texas Ranger on the frontier. I like that. It's a cool idea. Obviously, trying to keep peace on the frontier, like old Western lawmen and all that type of thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really cool because obviously, like, the thing you're gonna have is if you're finding new territories, then like the Republic might be like people in the Republic will be like, oh, like as we've seen in the world today, like could be like, oh, like they're foreign, like we'll just get the land, but the Jedi will be like, no, like they're new people. We're going to welcome them into the Republic, give them a chance to join us and add to the Republic. And obviously, some of them are nasty and naughty and do horrible things, and the Jedi will actually know, right, okay, no, you can't do that if you want to join us, by the way. If you'll be part of this galactic sort of civilization, you can't be doing that. So it's going to be interesting to see them actually like doing that, like being the peacekeepers and being the, not just for the Republic, but also keeping the peace and helping the new people coming in to the galaxy.
Yeah.
So it'll work both ways, I imagine. It's going to be the Jedi at their height and at their best, I'd imagine, like that's how they should be. Like obviously not actively chasing war, which, as we know, like as Yoda says, war does not make one great, and the Clone Wars is the downfall of the Jedi, really. And as soon as they get involved in that war, I think Palpatine knows he has them hook, line, and sinker. As soon as they're generals and they go along with it.
Yeah.
And again, they didn't really have a choice because like you coach a situation where they would sort of have to get involved, but and they sort of did. But because they did, it set them up for the fall, really.
Yeah. Turn the galaxy against them.
Yeah, definitely.
You go from peacekeepers to generals.
Yeah, and it means that they turn the back on their
ideals
without knowing, because they've had to adapt and like, oh wait, we've got these clones now, so you need to lead them type of thing. But yeah, so it's sad in a way, but yeah, so I think obviously this is going to be a Jedi before any of that's happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, have you got any other thoughts about the High Republic era?
No, just I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I can't wait to get new because, like I said, there's no. Like I said, you can tell all the stories of all the original characters we know, but there's a certain point where we know that, like, if they're in peril, they're not going to die. So there's not as much tension in the air. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting like a new era, new stories, new characters. I'll be surprised if Star Wars Celebration goes ahead in August because we don't. That's on the chopping block at the moment. I'll be surprised if there's already not High Republic cosplay and all that because from the books and that. So I think it'll be a great new era of Star Wars, and all the people who are involved in it, I've enjoyed all their work pretty much. So I can't wait. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, so like the first books and comics are set to debut at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim in August 2020. Yeah. So obviously because of the way the world is at the minute with coronavirus, like at the minute it's going to happen, but if not, then I'd imagine they'll just release the books anyway. I mean, I don't know. It's weird because, I mean, say those books aren't printed yet, like we don't know what's going to happen, but. If like the factory has to shut up, makes the books, like we might not be able to get it. I mean, I hope not. I hope we do get it.
I hope it might get delayed. End of the day, we all have to come together now, though, don't we? Because there's no point. There's no, like I'm saying, there's no point in really thinking. Because in August, we might have got through the worst part of it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're here in the UK, so like ours has just sort of started to get bad now here. But obviously, in the US, I know it's been bad there for like a few weeks now. So again, to our US listeners, just be safe, stay strong, and like hopefully we'll all get through this together. But those guys are further into the pandemic than we are, so it is worse there at the minute. So you would think they would come out of it sooner than we will.
Yeah.
Which I hope they do. I hope they come out of it as soon as possible.
Everyone, yeah.
So I know that there was 2 other Comic Cons that were cancelled and they've been rearranged for August. Yeah. Almost as if the government and the organisers are expecting August to be okay in the USA.
I think they'll still be about, but hopefully it won't be as prevalent. Because like I said, China are starting. Well, it depends. Like you said, if you believe what China are saying, they're starting to come out the other side.
Yeah, I mean, I do question the Japanese news. Like when we get the reports on, but like I think it is better there than it was, which is good.
Yeah.
So like. Hopefully, the rest of the countries should follow suit. Yeah,
it's a couple of months of disruption and that. Like, I'm sure I can make sacrifices and sit in my house for a couple of weeks if it comes to it in this country.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously, Disney Plus is coming to us in the UK finally on the 24th of March. Just if any listeners out there, if you haven't pre-ordered, if you pre-order now, you can save £10. You get the full year for $49.99. Also, if you pre-order through Top Cashback, not only do you get it for $49.99, but then you get £15 cash back, so you make it even bigger.
You get 35.
So you make it even bigger saving there, guys. So take a look at that. Just Google Top Cashback Disney Plus and see if you can save some extra money. I booked mine straight away, so I didn't do that.
Yeah, so I'm going to do mine on Friday because I get paid on Friday, so I'm going to do that on Friday. Either way, I'm getting it on Friday. So.
Yeah. I just want to talk to you a bit about obviously Project Luminous and how it was meant to be coming in January, and then it got. Yeah. Then the announcement it's coming next month now. Like obviously, like what do you think came into play with that?
I'm not sure, to be fair, because I don't know if it was ever official that it was coming in January. But I think Del Rey did put something out saying, January you'll find out. Maybe it was just...
So I've got a post, like I said, I've got a Duke JLS poster. It's from the publishing booth at Celebration Chicago. Yeah. And on the back it had all the names, Project Luminous, and it had like January 2020 on it.
All right. Yeah, I thought maybe they just weren't ready 100%. And I'd rather them take an extra month to get it 100% ready than to...
Do you think it had anything to do with the sort of social media situation of the Rise of Skywalker?
Maybe, because, like I said, yeah, maybe.
I don't know why, because like this is nothing to do with Rise of Skywalker, so it would have got people talking about something else sooner.
You know what people are like, though. They would have been like, "Well, I'm not starting this because I hated the film," or like that type of thing. So you can't win. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.
Yeah.
But no, I just think I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe it was to do with the Rise of Skywalker and the negative stuff, but negativity is always. I've seen tons of people who love the film, but negativity is always going to be louder than positivity because it always is.
Oh, definitely. I mean, like, there's that thing as well where like I wasn't the biggest fan of Rise of Skywalker, but like I don't think I've even spoke about it on Twitter much. And obviously, like, and I
No,
reviewed the movie on my podcast where I talk about the things I like and I talk about things I didn't. But like, other
yeah,
than that, like, I'm not really. The movie's come out, I've seen it, and you move on to the next thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a
yeah.
case of like, so like,
If you hold hang-ups on a film that you didn't like, then I think you need to reevaluate a bit because
yeah, definitely,
there's stuff in the Rise of Skywalker I don't like. There's stuff I love. It's probably my second favorite in the sequel trilogy because The Last Jedi for me, like, there's stuff same as that. There's stuff I really love, and then there's stuff that I find a bit like meh.
yeah.
So, but my favorite's Force Awakens because I remember coming out the cinema for the Force Awakens and I was like, that is amazing.
Yeah, well, it was cool, wasn't it? You can't really bottle that feeling of like Star Wars being back.
No,
like because it's back
it
now
was
and
great.
it's back forever. So it's like that was like it was back, wasn't it?
You'll never get that again, where it was the first film in 10 years and all that type of thing.
Yeah, and like we didn't think we were going to get any more. Do you know what I mean? So it's like
no, we thought we were done. Yeah.
So, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, one of the things I think. I mean, I don't think they postponed it. They announced because it was only a month postponed, really. I don't think it was because of the Rise of Skywalker stuff, but I think there was going to be movies involved in this.
Yeah.
And I think it was the stuff that the Game of Thrones guys, Benioff and Weiss, are working on. Obviously, now they've left. I don't think there's going to be movies now. I think it's just going to be publishing.
I heard a rumour that they were working on the Origin of the Jedi, which is obviously years before that, so I don't know if that's the case, but I did hear a rumour that's what they were working on. They were working on the creation of the Jedi and all that.
So I think we maybe have to reevaluate and go, look, like the movies aren't part of this publishing anymore.
To be fair though, I think if this goes well and the books sell and that, I think there could be eventually shows, movies and that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think Star Wars need to be careful with movies. So I think as we found with Solo, like I think not only obviously it had production problems and stuff, but B, I think that and it was marketed wrong, but in my opinion, but also for the general movie going audience, like they go to see the next Star Wars, and then it doesn't fit in. Do you know what I mean? Because it's set way back when. So, but with Marvel, even though the movie's set maybe a different decade, it ties in perfectly and it sets the scene well. So Star Wars hasn't had that because of the way that the stories are told. It's been difficult, I think. So the Star Wars fans, they know what Solo is and where to set the one say it. But when my mum went in, she was like, "Oh, where's Ray? Oh, it's not the next. It's not, and understandably, my mum's not stupid. Do you know what I mean? It's just a case of the next Star Wars out. I've come to see it.
Yeah. I heard a few friends with Rogue One who said that, where's Ray and Finn and that? I'm like, oh, it's set. And to us, it's simple. It's it's set before New Hope. What are you on about? But to people who are not obsessed with Star Wars, who just want to go see a film, they're like, oh, I'm confused. I get. That's why sometimes I don't get the argument where Star Wars has to appeal to the few. No, it has to appeal to everyone. It has to appeal to people.
100%, because then you get what happens with Solo, where do you know what I mean? The box office isn't good because other production problems, not marketed well, but also the general
and releasing it between Avengers, Jurassic World, and Deadpool 2. That probably wasn't the best idea.
But also the general movie going audience are confused by I don't, and obviously that's who you want because they're going to be the general movie going audience is bigger than your Star Wars fans. Numbers wise, so that's the way your box office is really. So I can.
That's how Avengers makes $2 billion a film.
Yeah, so I can see these books maybe definitely getting me into TV series, animation, brilliant. I would probably like to see them stay away from a movie just because you're already putting yourself against the grain and making money back. And if you've got lots of Jedi, how your lightsabers about, straight away it's a big budget movie. Do you know what I mean? You're looking at $180 to $200 million, which is hard to make back. And I think the next movies, I think they need to go this is part one, and then the next movie's part two, and the next movie's part three, the next movie's part four, whatever. I think they need to do that with the movies, and then it's the general movie from the audience who aren't Star Wars fans who are going to put them, because they get my money every year. Do you know what I mean? The things I buy, but to become the juggernaut of the box office and to make even more money, you need to get those guys on. And I think if you make it as simple as possible for people, and give them the product in linear fashion, then they'll buy. As you've seen with the MCU, work brilliantly.
That's the thing with the MCU. You've got people like from kids to grandparents up going to see them.
Yeah, so I think
so it appeals to everyone.
So I think if Star Wars does that, I think if they go like, this is part 1, this is part 2, this is part 3, and so on in the new story, I think that sets them up to be brilliant. And like I said, you can tell all these intertwined other stories through your animation department, through your Disney Plus live action department, and through the publishing arm.
Yeah, definitely.
That would be what I would do going forward. Obviously, I have no experience in the film industry, so that's just me. But yeah. So like I said, we'll see what happens there. Are you excited about Disney Plus coming?
100%. Been waiting for this since November. Yeah.
I mean, the first thing I'm going to do, I think I'm going to watch A New Hope in the new restoration, the 4K. Hopefully, that's on there from launch. I hope.
Yeah. I think I'm going to watch The Mandalorian again, because apparently, like I said, I've heard a rumor that they're releasing it all at once.
I hope so. I mean, that's something that, like, obviously, like, we're finally getting it, and they've said Mandalorian's going to be available from launch, but like the first episode, and then release it weekly. Which, like, I don't mind if it's worldwide released like that. That's fine. But because the rest of the world's already seen it, like, they should just give everything the world's seen. We should get. So,
like I said, I've heard the fast tracking the Clone Wars episodes as well and catching us up with them.
I hope so.
I think the first episode will be 6 that comes out a week on Friday, because obviously there's episode 5 this Friday, and then we get Disney Plus on Tuesday next week. Yeah,
so I mean, that would be brilliant, because I've only seen the first 2 episodes that I reviewed with Christina on the previous episode of this. I need to watch the next 2 before me and Christina can record our next review. But it's. Like I say, hopefully we do get them all. I'm not holding my breath. I think they'll release it weekly. I think the only reason it changes is if the thought, if we put it all on, we might get more subscribers due to people staying in from coronavirus, which is fair enough. And although you could say it's profiteering, I would rather have all of it available from launch.
And to be fair, though, I'd rather have it one a week and no one had coronavirus. If we could do it the other way around.
No, definitely, but we can't afford.
No, we can't. No.
Yeah. Quick thing, I just want to say, so have you bought any Star Wars merchandise recently, Ian?
Not recently, no. The last thing I bought the Rise of Skywalker book the other day, but not merch. Nothing at the moment. Just pretty getting past Christmas. We've had a couple of expensive months. We've had MOTs due, and then obviously there's coronavirus and all that. I haven't really bought anything recently, to be fair.
Yeah, so like I'm a big fan of the Black Series, and I buy like Hasbro's Black Series 6-inch, and I buy a lot less now, I must admit, since
I used to buy it all, and then I realised I won't be able to afford
it. Since I got engaged and since I got a house with my fiance, like buying Star Wars figures is not
on the priority.
Yeah, so I get the odd few now and again, but what I've not obviously. So Hasbro Black Series are doing what they did for New Hope. So it's this year's the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back. So they're releasing all the Empire Strikes Back figures on the original kind of cards. Yeah. And I was like, I need them. I really need the Luke Skywalker Bespin one. That's the one I really, really dig.
Yeah.
And then I went on staractionfigures.co.uk, which is like Hasbro's distribution. I think across the whole world is poor. I know that Ryan over at the Force Cast like preaches a lot about how in America, like the distribution's horrible, and the UK it's even worse here in the UK.
It is. It's kind of like you're going to Smiths. Obviously, Toys R Us bit the dust.
Yeah,
they used to have terrible. And then you go into Smiths Toys, they don't have anything. They don't have you find Black Series, but they're from like Force Friday, the first one, in like 2015. Yeah.
So I was on this Star Action Figures UK, and like the figures were for pre-order. And really good prices, like retailing at like 20, like anywhere from 18, like 22, 23 pounds.
I think I told you about that.
So I bought a few from there like before, but I was just having a browse the other day, and I had like the first wave, the first 5 figures up for like I think it was like £90. So I pre-ordered them, and so I'm going to get them. But like anybody in the UK who's after Hasbro Black Series, like on the high street, you're not going to get them. But on this Star Action figures, like I said, this. Exclusives up there to pre-order now.
They get everything.
They get everything. They don't always get lots of numbers, but because it's there for pre-order, you can pre-order it and secure it.
And it's a fair price as well.
Really fair price. So like right now.
Yeah. Well, it's basically retail price.
So a bit less to be fair. So like right now, you've got so they've got the the Gamer series and the Black series. So you've got the Stormtrooper Commander and the Shadow Stormtrooper are both like exclusives. So I think they're going to retail like £25 in the UK, like in Forbidden Planet and stuff, maybe more in Forbidden Planet. But they're available now to pre-order on that site for £22.95, which is like very reasonable, more than reasonable, I think. So like anybody in the UK who's after Star Wars figures, check out Star Action Figures UK because I've used it and I've found it's brilliant. And there's like all kinds of stuff to pre-order on there. The pre-orders go quick, so I'll say. So like for example, they had the Jedi Knight Revan up for pre-order.
Yeah,
I waited, and then I went back on like a couple of days later. And it's not available to pre-order anymore because that's the thing. They only pre-order the amount they're going to get, so nobody's left empty-handed. So I feel a bit disappointed, but like I had the chance to pull the trigger early, I didn't. So that's on me. But yeah, so like if you want Star Wars figures that like really, and I've had some arrive, and the package really good. They come in good condition. Check that out. I don't know if they ship to the US, but if you're in the US and you're after Star Wars figures, maybe
I don't think they do.
Maybe
I don't think they do. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, check it out, and they might tell you on the website if they do or not. But and that's not a sponsorship or anything. I don't know the guys who run that or anything, but I've just had a really good time with them. A few things I bought, and then like I said, the fact that they've got these pre-orders up for like really reasonable prices. When there's some places are like, well, that figure's gonna be £36 because it's exclusive, and it's like, is it though? Like I said, it's so it's really really good experience for me. They've got a lot of Baby Yoda merchandise on there as well up for pre-order. So check that out, guys. Have you been listening to any cool podcasts recently, Ian?
I listened to the Galactic podcast.
Yeah, I do.
I listened to one of the episodes the other day of that. I enjoyed that, and I try. It's just trying to find the hours in the day, and at the moment, life's exhausting enough, and I literally get from work, have a drink, and go to bed.
No, it's hard.
I don't finish till late. I finish at like 9 o'clock at night. So yeah, I literally have a drink and go to bed, wake up and repeat at the moment.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's pretty exhausting.
It's hard. There's a lot of good podcasts out there. So like, if anyone listening wants to check out some really cool podcasts, like Brian Balance, who did come on and he did host an episode of this show with me. He's the podcast king in my opinion. But his interesting podcast has recently had Armored Best, and he's recently had Vanessa Marshall. So obviously Jar Jar Binks and Harrison Dula. He's had those guys on there. Yeah, he's had them both on, so like really good episodes. So anybody interested in that should go and check Brian's podcast, the Interesting Podcast, out. Like I said, he gets great interviews from all his guests. Like I said, recently he's had some really, really good Star Wars guests. So go and check that out. Also, obviously, last episode I had Christina on, who was talking about the Clone Wars with me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give that a listen. To be fair,
So her podcast is called the Closing Credits Podcast. So she works in the film industry as a sound engineer, sound technician, sound editor. And so she's been getting some good guests on talking about the film industry. So if you like film, always listen to her. But last week she had Gary Whitta on, who obviously wrote the script for Rogue One. Yeah. So any Star Wars fans, like that episode, I recommend. Like I think it was episode 4, but the one with Gary Whitta obviously talks about his whole career in writing in movies, but obviously he does talk a little bit about sort of working on a Star Wars project, which is brilliant. And then last but not least, obviously sort of the Dorky Diva show is one of my favourite go-to podcasts to listen to. Obviously Brian and Savannah host that. So Savannah has a new podcast. It's called the Working Diva Podcast. And what it's designed to do is obviously it's to talk about sort of women working in the entertainment, in the marketing sort of industries. And sort of every month, I think it is, or every episode, she's going to have like a woman come on and talk about sort of how they got in the industry and how they made it work. Obviously, there is a gap, like there is a pay gap. There is a sort of a gap between women getting these jobs and men getting these jobs. Like that's just a fact, I'm afraid. And I'm not passionate about it, but like this is I listen to them because I like hearing the stories about. They tell you how they got in and how they worked hard and the tricks they did and how they got into where they are. I think anybody can use them, not just women. So like I listen to Gain Knowledge that way, but for any women who are sort of wanting to get into marketing, into entertainment, I imagine it'll morph as it goes along, and she'll get different people from different industries in. But obviously, just want to succeed and see like how previous women who have succeeded have done it. Should check it out. Like I said, it's a really good podcast as well.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Obviously, the Galactic Podcast, the gals over there always do good content as well. I also want to say a big shout out to Ryan. If you listen to Ryan every week he always like plugs the show on his Twitter account, like every week without fail, pretty much. So I just want to say a big thank you to him. Like, it means a lot. Like I said, we are a very small DIY podcast. We're not very fancy. But like the fact that he sort of supports every week is like really, really cool. So thank you, mate. We have got a new logo, guys. If you're listening, you might have noticed on your Spotify feeds or your iTunes feeds, or if you listen, the logo's changed. That was done by a friend of mine, Adam Clark, over at Black Spell Clothing. Check out Black Spell Clothing out. So that's his clothing label where he does really good, cool designs. But he designed a killer logo. So this cowboy podcast is becoming a bit less cowboy. So that's quite cool, quite fun. Iain, where can the people find you on social media?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Star Wars Iain, all lowercase, and I'm on Facebook at Iain K. If you want to, but I don't really use Facebook, to be fair. So yeah, my main two are Instagram and Twitter at Star Wars Iain.
Good stuff.
That's me.
So like, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Pete Hitman Hart, named after the wrestler because he's my favourite. You can find the podcast itself. We have an email, so email in if you want to get in touch. starborspodcast@gmail.com. We are on Instagram at starborspodcast, and we are on Twitter at borstar. So feel free to interact over there. We're going to have some giveaways coming up. We've got a lot of pin badges to give away. Phantom Menace 3D re-release pin badges. They're heart shapes, R2D and C3P1. Really, really cool pin badges. We give 3 away in January, and we've got more to give away. So stay tuned to find out how you can get those. And obviously with the new logo, it's going to be T-shirts coming. So stay tuned to the social media as well to find out about those. We're also on Facebook. Just search Star Wars Podcast, and you'll find us on Facebook as well. Iain, thanks for joining us. Obviously,
no problem, mate. Anytime.
I know it's scary times, obviously, with the coronavirus running wild, and like I said, in the UK, it's particularly picked up now, where it's getting a bit more dangerous here. But we've got to talk Star Wars.
We might be able to record a few more podcasts. We might all be in our houses soon.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it? So obviously, like me, Iain's a big fan of the novels and the comics, like I am. Iain reads a lot better than I do. So the plan is we're going to review some. Me and Iain want to review the Kanan comic books down the line, and we want to review Duke of Jedi Lost as well. So hopefully we'll get those done in the next few weeks, really.
Should be able to,
yeah. Yeah, definitely. But stay safe, everyone.